Welcome to our 5 on 5. We're pleased to be joined by Brian Ballou from the Oregon Department of Forestry. Brian, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, it's always nice to be here.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we talked. I believe Friday afternoon
Probably,
was the last
yeah.
time. So tell us, in case anyone's watching, when will fire season begin, if you can even predict something like that?
Well, normally a fire season starts sometime in June, but this winter has ended up to be very dry, and going into spring even drier and hotter. So it looks like we probably will be starting fire season earlier than normal, at least earlier than we've had for the last few years. Exactly when, I don't know. We're waiting to see what this current storm will be bringing us. We don't know whether it's going to bring some rain, we hope so, or whether it'll just be more thunderstorms and more fires. We just have to wait and see. Part of the equation, though, for determining when fire season starts is how many fires we're beginning to get. And, you know, now we're really stretched thin. We have more than a dozen fires, small fires scattered around in southwest Oregon. Plus, there's fires in other parts of the state that a lot of firefighters are at. So it's kind of made the resources here a little thin. The pool of firefighters is only so deep, especially early in the season, and now the pool is shallow. So that could be part of the factor. If we're not as strong for responding to new fires as we want to be, then, and if the weather remains dry, then we could see the start of fire season as early as next week.
Wow.
I'll be as interested to find out as anybody.
Sure, of course. Okay, now what exactly is the Oregon Department of Forestry's service area, if you will? I'm assuming it's Oregon.
Well, yeah, statewide. We primarily cover state forest lands, of course, which are primarily clustered up in the northwest part of the state. Down here, we're also contracted to fight the fires on the Bureau of Land Management Forest Lands. But also many acres of private land, and of course some county forest land, a little bit of city lands. So down here in southwest Oregon, we wind up with a coverage area of about 1.8 million acres.
Wow, okay. All right, well, I want to ask you about tips for homeowners and all that, but first, we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with Brian Ballou from the Oregon Department of Forestry. And Brian, I know we have, of course, a hard time predicting exactly when the fire season will start, but because of the conditions, it could be a beast of a fire season, could it not?
It's certainly setting out that way. The long-range forecast for the West, not just southwest Oregon, but it's about everywhere in the West going up into the Rockies is for an extreme fire season that could be hotter and drier earlier and lasting longer. So, I mean, they are forecast for the fire season, particularly on the western coastal strip, which includes us, to start about 3 weeks ahead of schedule. Seems to be spot on because we're going to be at least that if the current weather trend holds out, and it looks like it's going to. And going into the middle of summer, it looks like we're going to be so extremely dry that it's going to be a fire season like we've not seen in quite a long time. Wow,
scary stuff. Okay, and I know you want people to be prepared for that. You want to get tips out to people. What do people need to know in protecting their home and their property?
I think it's a good time of year to, of course, look around your property in the 100 feet around your home. It seems to be the most vital part of the property to look at. To remove anything that died during the winter. I'm not talking about dogs and cats, but trees, shrubs. Mow any standing tall, dry grass. I know things are greening up quickly, and that will, at one point, turn to brown, and that's the stuff you want to mow and keep short. Because grass is the primary carrier for wildfire. It always leads to other bigger fuels, make bigger flames, cause bigger problems. Blackberries is a good thing to reduce on your property. I mean, I always like to have a ready source of berries for pies and jams, but these long fence rows of blackberries, they just turns into a row of flame.
Wow. Should
they catch fire. Blackberries burn spectacularly.
Wow.
And just if you break them up, so there's interruption, flame fire likes continuity. So if you can break it up, you're going to be well ahead. Things like moving your firewood pile away from your house or putting it in a enclosed shed, cleaning out your gutters. Check your screens on your attic. Little embers can find their way in there, and it's bone dry inside your attic, and that's a big problem.
Now, I know there are no restrictions right now as far as getting out and doing that kind of work.
Nope.
Is your department as strong as ever in terms of resources, both manpower and tankers, planes, helicopters, that sort of thing for the fire season?
We're a little thin now because this is earlier than we really anticipated having a lot of need for a lot of firefighters. Our staffing levels for both our regular staff and our seasonal firefighters is fully funded, so we will have a full complement of firefighters come the start of June.
Very good.
Helicopters, air tankers, the legislature has approved the funding to be able to have that strong initial attack air force that we rely on very heavily here in Southwest Oregon, which is all great news because it really does help us to stop fires fast.
Very good, Brian. Great to see you. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Know how busy you are right now. Thank you. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back.